Isn't if I'm ready for the world. But is the world ready for me?
It's time for me.
Let's get you ready. Naturals, India's #1 hair and beauty salon. I'm daddy, mommy, friend, driver. I'm buddy, rakshasi, and sometimes teacher. I'm an entrepreneur, colleague, boss. I'm ready to celebrate who I am. But the question isn't if I'm ready for the world. But is the world ready for me?
It's time for me.
Let's get you ready. Naturals, India's #1 hair and beauty salon.
Hello.
I'm daddy.
Hi, I request everybody to please settle down, please. We'll just start. So on behalf of Naturals, the News Minute Glassbox, we welcome you all here. Thank you so much for coming. This is one of the first events that we're doing in Chennai as the News Minute, and we're very, very excited to have some firebrand speakers here for you today. And despite the rains, all of you have made it here, so thank you so much. Without much ado, we'll start. I request the CEO, co-founder of Naturals, Thamizhachi Thangapandian, to take the stage and give us the opening talk. Thank you.
Thank you, and happy evening to everyone. To all the friends, respected, we have been very insistent that we will have the Women of Power event only when the Bengal tigress will come. Mahua Moitra. Your name is little difficult for us to pronounce. So we have been trying, thanks to Thamizhachi for arranging this and making this possible. On a Dasara day, you are here. I think you also brought rain to us, so thank you very much for that. The power of women, the idea came, we have been discussing for a long time, but we wanted to make it into a talk series. We feel it is very important that there is an elephant in the room, and many people are either knowingly looking at the other side or unknowingly not looking at it. I think that is the challenge and opportunity in front of us. I understood the power of women way back in 1979 on September 13th. When my father died, next day morning, my mother called all 6 of us and told, from today, I'm going to be your father and mother. And I was 13-year-old boy, and my eldest brother is 25, 4 more siblings in between. I really did not understand what she's trying to say. All I could grasp was the family is in some kind of trouble. But for the next 35 years, she did exactly that. She played the role of father and mother for us. She ran a factory, she ran a school, she ran a tailoring unit, she ran agriculture, she danced and she sang and she lived a complete life. And as I was growing up, I see on the other side, this time my mom was only a 9th standard educated from Rajamandri, from Andhra Pradesh. She came to Tamil Nadu, she did not even know how to speak Tamil. But after that, she took the life in her hand and ensured all 6 of us are not only safe, but also successful. And around me, I started looking at life as I was growing. I see a lot of educated women. Women have started educating earlier. அடுப்புதுமின் பெண்ணுக்கு படிப்பு எதுக்கு அப்படின்னு கேட்ட தமிழ் சமுதாயம் இன்னைக்கு மாறி எல்லாரும் வந்து படிக்க ஆரம்பிச்சாச்சு. There is so many women are well educated. In fact, if you go to the school, all the toppers are girls. You come to college, again, the toppers are women. Then when you go to the working place, women start off very well. Then there is a theory of missing women. After that, couple of babies they make, they miss. They vanish from the scene. And that's what is happening in the society time and again. It is time to correct that. And I think we need to make it as a starting point, and we need to talk about it. A lot of people told me, you are a businessman, why are you talking this? It's not good for you. These politicians are all bad people. Politicians are not bad people. Politics is not a bad place. It is filled by bad people. It is because good people are staying away. It is solution. It is not the violence of the bad people which destroy the society. It is the silence of the good people. All the good people should come together and start talking. And that is what is the need of the hour at this point of time. That is when we thought we'll align with one of the most, editor-in-chief of the News Minute, the media house which doesn't have any filter, doesn't have to obey to all these people's rules. She can, whatever she feels right, she and her team, Sabir and the team put together, can speak whatever their mind and what they feel is right and what they feel is just. This is one of the rare media house at this point of time where India is going through a tremendous change. At every point of time, there is a filter. Every people think, should I speak, should I not speak? That's the kind of thing which is happening. I think we should make it as a talk point. Especially for women, there is two kind of problem. One is it is a patriarchal society. The society still, the men does not want to give power. They still want to hold on to that. On other side, the women are not ready to take the authorities and responsibilities. And that's the problem in front of us. So we want to showcase three people, Mahua Moitra, Thamizhachi and Dhanya Rajendran, who has taken life in their hand, who are living role models and who are telling how they can live, how they can lead this life without any fear. If they can do it, why not we? I think that is the question and opportunity in front of us. Gandhi Jayanti is around the corner. Gandhi puts it so beautifully. Don't scream for change. Be the change. I think the time has come. Each and every woman and also men should come forward and join in politics. Politics is everybody should practice and should join politics. It is a must have. It is not a nice to have. Second is, I think it is women have to come back with 33%. Bilkis Banu, I think enough and more problem in hijab problem. I think enough and more problem are going around us, but we are what you call, we don't want to speak about it. I think there has to be a talk series. People have to talk about it, and there can't be a better platform than Dhanya's the News Minute. And thank you, Mahua, for coming here. Thank you, Thamizhachi, for coming here and making this, kickstarting this Naturals. Naturals always stands for women power. We have more than 400 plus financially independent women entrepreneur. That's what we pride of. 99% of them have not done business before. But that's one portion. It is not still sufficient. I think there are many naturals, and such people are required at every point of time. I think every person have to make a difference. Every person should put their hand up and say, I will make a difference. I think that is the need for the country at this point of time. There is the coward dies daily. I don't think we should be a coward. We all should be a victim, warrior, and we should die only once. Wishing you all the best. Together, let us build a beautiful India. Thank you and best wishes.
I request Dhanya, Ms. Mahua Moitra, and Ms. Thamizhachi Thangapandian, please come on stage.
I'm here, so you'll be. No, that's one of those. Because you both have mics. Is it audible? Is this audible? So I have been introduced as someone without filters. I think I would have some filters today while speaking, but I'm very glad to be here with these two very powerful women I look up to. Two things I just want to say before we plunge into this conversation. Very glad to be back in Chennai, a city that I worked for a few years, but the tag never sort of leaves me because people still think I live here. I don't. I've not lived for the past 12 years, but a city I absolutely love. And to be in conversation with two women politicians, because I have this one secret desire to be a politician. At some point to enter electoral politics. It's never worked out in discussions, but it's still there in the back of my mind. So whatever you tell us today, in fact, we've got a lot of questions from students, from others, very keenly wanting to know your journeys into politics. So I'm going to start with that. You were a banker, and then I'm sure you've spoken about all this many times, but once more for us, your foray into politics and how that journey has been.
Thank you, and I'm very glad to be here. And I believe you were told it was going to be a 4 p.m. event. I think for all of you who waited for an hour, Ram's the person you need to go beat up after the program. All right, because they told us 5 o'clock. But it's really wonderful to see you all here and full house. So thank you. I love. I still call it Madras, but I love your city, and it's wonderful to be back. Thank you, Sumati, for inviting me, and to all of you who've made this program. Yes, I've answered that question very many times as to, yes, I was a banker. And if I think of my life 15 years ago, taking the tube to go work on, work in investment banking in JP Morgan and coming back home and shopping at Waitrose and thinking about what I'm going to make for dinner, it is a very long way. It almost seems like it's two different people, two different lives, two different universes. But actually it's not, because what Mr. Kumaravel said what I was listening to him very intently, and he said something, he says, you just wake up. And for a lot of us, like for example, when his father died is when his mother decided, this is it, I need to take life into my own hands. For me, it was not due to a result of something, tragic or something like that, but literally it happened where I decided that I need to take life into my own hands. And I was not going to let this trajectory of economics and maths graduate, going into banking, earning a good salary, analyst, associate, vice president, managing director, you could tell the next 30 years. And I decided I wanted to take life into my hands. And I wanted to come into politics. Now, I didn't come from a political family. I didn't have very many resources, which is something that people warned me about. Everyone told me you need money and you need muscle in Indian politics. But I'm living proof that you don't need money and muscle. What you need, I'm living proof. And when young people come and tell me, because when I was trying to get into politics, a lot of people came, they were very encouraging, but a lot of people came and said, are you mad? Are you mad? How do you think you're going to get in? It's not possible. It's corrupt. It's dirty. You don't have money. You don't have muscle. You don't know anyone. But I'm living proof. And I want to tell all of you that if you really want to do anything, you will find a way. And a way will find you. There is no two ways about it. In anything, if you want to be a doctor, you could be born in a family of rickshaw pullers and you'll be a doctor, right? I mean, I understand that the thing of birth is very difficult to overcome. So I wanted to be, and I decided to come back to India and join politics. And I came back and I joined the Congress because my family was a Congress voting family. And I went to Bengal and I joined what was known as the Aam Aadmi Ka Sipahi program, which was a grassroots booth building program going to different villages. And I did that. And after a year and a half, after about a year, the Bengal Congress had all but decimated, because in Bengal, we were fighting the communists, but in the center, in UPA 1, the Congress and the communists were in coalition together. So it was very difficult to do anything on the ground, because each time you did something, you get a call from Delhi saying, hey, we're dependent on these guys, go easy. So if you wanted to get the communists out, there was no other option but to join Mamata Banerjee, who was fighting on the ground. So that's a, long answer to a short question.
Actually not. I want to ask a pointed question.
Yeah.
At what point of time, or was there an event which you thought, or watching certain events that you thought, I want to be in politics?
No, that's something, I've said this in many, many interviews, and it's the truth. I found a letter which I had written to my mother in 1993 or 94 from university at Mount Holyoke in Massachusetts on blue aerogram. And my mother kept all my letters, and I found it a few years ago, and it says, I'm in freshman year college. And it says, I'm going to work in the US for a few years, but then I want to go back to India and join politics. So it's obvious I had this desire for a very long time. And I was always very interested in grassroots politics and in making a change. I don't know how it started. I don't have an answer. But it's not something that came to me overnight. I knew it's something I wanted to do. But yes, when I turned 30 and kind of, again, went back for my 10th reunion, I realized if I don't do it now, it's going to get more and more difficult. So yes, it was a series of aha moments, not just one aha moment.
Okay. You can actually take the second mic also, and we can keep interrupting each other like the TV shows. So tell me about your journey. She also mentioned that she's not from a political family, but was there an expectation from you that you would join politics?
Thank you, Mahua.
I think it's on, right? You can hear.
Thank you, my dear friend Mahua, for making it today, because I know about 99% of the audience here were here only to listen to you. They have listened to me so many times. Thank you also for Naturals for having done this wonderful event. And I apologize profusely for having made you all wait for almost an hour. We were told...
No. It was a 5 p.m. event.
Okay, right. Right. Okay, good. Now the question is, how do I, made beginning in politics? Mine is a different journey from her, because I'm born in a political family. Not only in a political family, I'm born as a DMK person in a DMK family. That's made all the difference. But actually not seriously interested in making a straight foray into politics, because I was an academician, a theater person, playwright as well as a poet. So many other artistic intentions were taking forefront. So I was not seriously considering to pitch myself either in the elections or straight away entering into politics. But that has been in my family, that has been in my blood, and that's how it is. And there was one point of time wherein our respected leader, Muthamilaringer, Dr. Kallinge, wanted me to hoist a flag in a in a state conference organized by our present chief minister for the DMK youth wing. And DMK has this tradition of making women hoisting the flag. So I considered it as a very great honor. So I took up that opportunity, and I cannot do that because it's a public political activity. So I had to make a choice. I had to resign my job and make a direct foray into politics, which I feel happy as well as missing my academic days. It has both, it has a mixed feeling. So I wouldn't say that it began at that point of time. I saw my father growing up with this Dravidian ideology and politics and principles, and my brother. So it goes, that way. But still, for making a entry into as a debut parliamentarian, I had to wait for 12 years. I resigned my job in 2008, and I was given a ticket in 2019. So that's the story.
But do you find that people often would just dismiss saying that, but you're from a political family, the entry is easy for you, the existence is easy for you? Is it really that easy simply because you come from a political family?
No, to be honest, that's the public opinion, but I'll always have a very open answer for them. You all know that we had this MISA period.
Yes.
Yeah, during Indira Gandhi's regime. So we were in school, all the senior leaders, for example, like people who now call us as who have inherited the family's inheritance, have got an easy ticket to politics. This is the answer for them. We all, the kids of the political leaders, we were all there waiting before the collector office and undergoing all those difficulties a family had to undergo. Nobody came and asked us, why did you undergo all those bad days or all those difficulties? Because you were daughters and sons of so and so. Nobody came and asked us. Nobody came and shared our sorrows or difficult times. We were bracing through it as one big family. So also like that only, be it on the ebb or low, we were part of it. So it goes without any particular saying that we were given everything on a pedestal. Of course, the entry was there, but still we had to make our own path. We have to create our own niche, because the way we put in our efforts, how we handle the situations, how we were asked to partake in all the political happenings, for example, propaganding the party principles and attending meetings and walking from the cadre level. So that's how we all have proved ourselves.
Okay. So just for the audience, you must be thinking, why am I asking about women in politics? You want to get to the point, right? Fascism and federalism and all that. I will, slowly, steadily. So first we're going to talk about women in politics, about their journeys, then about being a woman in politics, and last we will come to the news in the country and how do you perceive things happening. So you talked about how you became a politician, the letter you wrote to your mother. Now, anyone can become a politician, but you can become a certain kind of politician and you can become a progressive politician. So how did your progressive politics begin, your personal journey?
I don't know if it's a progressive politics. If you ask people within a certain political party, I'm sure they will disagree with you very vehemently about my progressive politics. So it really depends what prism you look at it. We look at it through. But I think, there's a line in Hamlet, and I'm a big literature buff, and I always, in my life, whether it's Tagore or whether it's Shakespeare, I always try and find something that I identify with at that point. And there's this line in Hamlet where Polonius tells Laertes, "This above all, to thine own self be true." And I have really let that kind of be my guiding, sort of principle in life, where you have to be true to yourself. And I get a lot of flack for it, because I've tried to be the same person I was 15 years ago. Yes, I'm not the same person that I don't have the same job, but as a human being, I want to behave with people the same way. I want my relationships to be the same. I want people to view me as, and especially in a country, I think in that way I was lucky that I spent most of my formative years abroad, where sort of class distinctions and where this kind of, looking at netas in a different way. Like my ex-husband was Danish, and the Danish prime minister rode to work on a bicycle and fixed his own roof. And I think that kind of is something that we could do all with a bit of. So I always try and think about these situations where we try and remain true to ourselves, and we don't let that particular role that we are playing now define us as human beings. Today I'm a politician, tomorrow I could lose an election. I could be out of power in 5 years. So let's not try and let's not let my outside reality not determine who I am. I think that's important. So I've tried to be true to myself. It does come with its downsides, where a lot of people say, oh, Mahua, why do you always appear so angry? Why can't you be a little more moderate? Why can't you treat the prime minister a little more nicely? I get these questions. My friends would be like, you should be diplomatic. Politics is about diplomats. I said, I'm in opposition. It's not my job. It isn't my job. And if I didn't have this rage and this complete fear of injustice and this complete anger inside me as to how my country is turning out, I wouldn't be me. And I wouldn't have this power inside me to surge through. So I can't change that. So I think part of the answer is how are you progressive, regressive, any kind of politician, is you have to be who you are. And you can't please people all the time. It's like sometimes you ask fashion designers, there are some designers who do Pret, ready to wear, and there are some who do couture. And I have this friend called Rahul Mishra who doesn't do Pret, and I asked him, I said, Rahul, why don't you do Pret? He said, if I did Pret, I would always need to worry about what's selling. Right? So it's the wedding season, I'd have to make lehengas. So where is my creativity? And that's true. So if I'm making couture, okay, fine. I'm staying true to my art form.
You do get into trouble. Yes.
But it's part of the territory.
I know. I actually tell my colleagues all the time that no one's here to win a popularity contest, and you're not going to win it.
And sell, if you want everyone to like you, sell ice cream. Don't enter public life.
Okay, that's the advice for anyone wanting to enter public life. What about you? Like I said, you can be a certain kind of politician, or you can be a progressive politician. But what was your journey into progressive politics? What you read, listened?
Yeah, party itself is a very progressive party. That's how we believe in. So as Mahua has given me the lead, it also does depend on how do you view yourself and how do you rate yourself as an individual as well as an individual politician. That, see, as a woman, we do have so many ideas to be put forward. So your party's ideals coupled with, because we have been imbibed with the Dravidian ideology. So all the Thandai Periyar is the, greatest feminist you must ever heard of, probably. So my parents have been teachers, both of them have this progressive views. Though I come from a village, I've had the opportunity to read the classical Tamil languages as well as the progressive writings. So there's no choice. How do I want to be as a politician, as a progressive one or a normal one? You see my writings, you see my plays being performed here, everything, like it talks about the progressive ideas and probably the progressive nature of a woman, which is innate as a quality in her. So I grew up like that, and I want to be a progressive politician, not as a separate entity, but along with the ideals of my party.
So the next question I want to ask is, if you look at some of the successful women politicians in India, like J. Jayalalitha, who used to be chief minister, Mamata Banerjee, Mayawati, many of these politicians have to have this image of, an iron armor around them, the iron women, because you can't be considered to seem to be soft in politics. But I personally feel that you all have broken that mold. But how do you perceive that whole thing, where the women in politics have to project themselves as some sort of very tough, strong people?
And, this is not something that is true of just politics. I came from finance, where exactly, again, like Mr. Kumar was said, he said, when you enter an investment bank and you see the incoming analyst class, 50% men, 50% women. After 2 years, when they become associates, it becomes 70-30. When you become VPs, it's 85-15. When you become MDs, it's like 95-5, right? Or even worse than that. So this is not, and even when you see, I work for, everyone said when I entered, I went to an all-women's college and went to work. My first job was on the trading floor at JP Morgan. And, I had a woman boss. And everyone told me, oh my God. I was quite happy. I thought, oh, I have a woman boss. Everyone said, oh my God, she's a monster. She's a complete monster. And she was. And I remember going out one day over drinks and we were talking and I said, you weren't like that. Why are you like that? She said, you don't get it. We were products of 1980s Wall Street. Things have changed now. But to survive Wall Street in the 80s and the early 90s, you had to have a pair. You just had to have a pair. I mean, I'm sorry. You had to be more aggressive than men. Because if men did it, they were leaders. They were powerful. If women did it, they were bitches. And that is something that is even true in politics today, right? So this is something true in everything, in engineering, in the corporate world. It's not something that is just true of women. So obviously, women leaders before our generation felt a greater burden to always have a certain image. And I think actually people have got better at it. I see Mamata Banerjee is certainly better at it than, say, Mayawati, because she's really got this human side to her that she's not ashamed to show. And that is one of the things that works very strongly for her, because people really identify that soft side to her. So, but I think this is something that women feel, this dichotomy within their minds all the time, where they feel that they have to be a certain way and do things a certain way because they're competing with men and you've got to be as tough as so.
But there is this element of masculinity which we connect with politics. At least people do, which is why they want politicians to behave in a certain way, tougher.
Yeah.
Do you feel that pressure?
I don't feel that pressure, but if you think about India, again, Asia that way is quite messed up in the sense that today, if you look at 191 countries in the rank of, if you look at parliaments, we rank 141 in terms of women representation. Global average, women parliamentarians, 25%. Lok Sabha, only 14%. Rajya Sabha, 10%. And, you can say, okay, it's winnability, it's electability. Fine, that's Lok Sabha. What about Rajya Sabha? It really depends on every party. You have the MLAs, which is why you can give a Rajya Sabha. So why don't you give it to more women, right? There's no reason. Are you finding a shortage of people of arts and letters when it comes to women? So there's really no excuse when it comes to sort of, very poor. So in a way, we've had very strong female figures. We've had prime ministers as women. We've had leaders of parties as women. Sonia Gandhi was a woman. Mamata Banerjee, BSP, AIADMK. You have that, but on the other side, you have very low representation. So it's a weird dichotomy that we stay with. And you'll be surprised that with the Panchayati Raj and with now 50% reservation at the grassroots level, that things are actually changing. So it's better at the grassroots than it is in parliament. Only 9 states have more than 10% female legislators. Just think about it. It's shameful.
It is.
But at the grassroots, because of the Panchayati reservation, things are a lot better.
But do you also feel that pressure most times? Because people expect you to act in a certain way since you're a politician.
See, we have this long track record set in Tamil Nadu by the women who belong to the self-respect movement. I believe you're all aware of that. The self-respect movement women, they were all very strong, but they won't be that much vociferously expressing it either in their appearance or in just putting a safeguard like a cauldron or whatever it is, just to, like keep themselves tough looking or whatever it is. So I personally feel that, because I have faced so many times this question, why do you always sport a flower? Do you think that it's even apt after becoming an MP? I always tell them, what about Aung San Suu Kyi? She's such a great woman leader. You have not seen her. She always sports a lovely big flower at the side. So I don't think so. Your personal appearance, like
I'm sure
has
she's
its...
asked that question.
Of course.
How do you choose your flower? How do you put your
that's
bindi
how
every
it is.
day?
I personally feel that this need not be connected with my politics. This is something you have to connect it with my aesthetics. How I grow myself and how I want to express myself. It's entirely a different thing from politics. If you feel that I'm a very soft nature woman. On seeing my appearance, things will be different when I speak or when I act.
If you
So the problem, if you mess up with me, it's a different story. So the problem is, as beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder, problem lies with you, not with me. That's how it is. So I personally feel that you need not be outwardly tough or whatever, but a situation makes you. For example, Mahua told me that she won't be angry always, but when a situation demands, like
Which is
she
90%
has
of the
to,
time,
yeah,
yes.
90% of the time, yes. Yeah, I always, speak, not even raising my voice, I can express my anger. We academicians, we have been tutored in a very different way. With one look, we can just make all the students to run away. That's how we always, it's different. But women have to, because I've grown up in a rural area. I come from a village. I've seen most of my chinnamma, periyamma aunts, they will be very, very vociferously having a safeguard, either in their actions or in their voice or in the way they walk. Especially single parents and women who are having this tough life of leading the whole family, living a all alone life. They always, I've seen them, they have put an extra guardian ring around them by their gesture, by the way they walk, by the way they sit or whatever it is. That's somehow the way of just protecting themselves from the family or from a male gaze, I would say. But we have not felt that pressure in the politics, maybe in our party, I would say.
I also think, in a way, maybe it's because, I don't deny for 1 minute that I do come from a very privileged background. Both of us do. We are very privileged. We've grown up in privilege. There's no denying that. But I think that gives us, my education, my sort of family background, all of us gives us that level of confidence in a way which probably takes a lot of women a big journey to arrive at. A lot of things I was born with and that we imbibe naturally takes a lot of people 10, 15 years to just arrive at that point. And I'm perfectly aware of that. But one of the things is that in my own head, I don't think of myself as a woman in the sense that when I'm a politician, I'm a parliamentarian. I'm a Lok Sabha MP. I'm not a woman Lok Sabha MP, right? When people ask me, are you a female doctor? Would you ask a man, are you a male doctor? No, you wouldn't, right? Are you? What is it like being a female engineer? Yeah, what is it like? I'm an engineer. So I feel that all the time. I said, yeah, I was an MLA. I'm a parliamentarian. I've been elected here. I sit here. If you're going to heckle me, I'm going to call you out. There's no way this is not happening. This is ridiculous. So I think that is something that we must, as whether it takes us a while to get, that's something women have to be better at in their own heads. That we are the role. We are the only gender that lets our profession define us. Men don't let their profession define them. Do you know what I'm saying? That they won't be like, we'll be like, okay, female politician, female doctor, female engineer, you're a female journalist. I'm a journalist. I don't have to have the female in front of it. So I think that kind of siloing.
I haven't been called that in some time. So I'm
but
worried now.
you'd be surprised.
So, why not?
Yeah, we're all worried.
Why didn't they? So, but how much of we speak about all this, reality is that when it comes to even the most progressive parties, women representation is really low, right? From giving tickets to who's made MLA, MP. Do you think I'm talking about DMK, CPIM, CPI, any party you take, representation of women is low. There is absolutely no doubt about it. How do we usher in a change? What do we do differently? We keep speaking about it, but how can we actually bring about change?
This has been an observation or probably an accusation I've been faced many times, but I'd like to give at least a honest, clear answer to it. See, if you take the history of our party was and is the one party which gives importance to women, as I say, right from hoisting of a flag or making them presiding over conference. We have had a history, and excuse me, 3 women district secretaries in our party, which I would say not heard of in Tamil Nadu. And for the second time in the history of Chennai Corporation, a woman mayor has been elected now from our party. Not only that, because Chennai Corporation has a history of 200 years.
But these are all still baby steps. We are talking about...
Yeah, we have to see comparatively. Reaching the stage itself more than 250 women councillors have been given representation this time, and 5 women mayors, especially particularly from the, this is from the reserved constituency or mayors. For the past 200 years, only one woman mayor was elected, but she couldn't serve her whole term. This is the first woman mayor who's going to serve the 5 years. So comparatively, our party, even the party cadre-wise also, it has been giving importance to give candidature to women candidates who is asking for tickets. But the problem which we face, or the problem which have been told to us, is men also should cooperate to make them win in the election. The ball is in your court now. So these are all the practical. Winnability is the practical. See, if you're offering ticket to a particular place, to a particular woman, you have to consider. So the party feels pressurized at that point of time to take a decision. How many winnable tickets?
But basically,
Practically.
representation takes a back seat for winnability.
That's how slowly we have to make inroads like this.
Yes.
You make reservation for women. That's how our present chief minister have made it now. You make reservation for, this is the women's seat, resort for women. So that's how, see, in this recent local body elections, we have definitely make visible inroads, giving a lot many tickets to women. So comparatively, compared to other parties, I would say with full confidence that our party actually doesn't merely preach, it actually practices, and it tries to, like whatever, for example, any place which is to be filled up by either by a man or a woman, the first choice will be a woman. That's how it is. But we have to, as you say, we have to make baby steps. This much, like progress, we have taken, as you said, so many years to have 5 women mayors, and first woman mayor who is going to take, fulfill a full term, and so many councillors. This itself, like for the past 10 years, local body elections have not been conducted in Tamil Nadu. So that's how it is. In spite of all the pressures, party is trying to make and giving places to women candidates as well as women voices, I would say. That's all the more important. We can speak, we can, like make ourselves very clear to our president, to the party president, as well as to our leader, that this is how we feel, this is how we ought to be given. And we are free to express our own will, and then we can also sit and discuss, and we will be given the facts that what are all the obstacles. And then sometimes, like we ourselves, considering the pragmatic approach and considering the practical difficulties, sometimes we might have to take different decisions. But definitely we are making inroads into this myth or taboo.
I think there are 2 issues in that, and I'm going to address it differently. Number 1 is, of course, the Women's Reservation Bill. Now, I do strongly feel that this Women's Reservation Bill is something that was introduced in 1996. It's been in cold storage since then, reintroduced thrice, has now lapsed. Now, you can say, as my leader does, that why do you need a bill to tell you to do the right thing? Do you know the reason why we didn't have reservation for women? Why at the end of the Constituent Assembly debates they decided not to have? Because they said if you put in a number of 50%, there were 3 or 4 women there, leaders, who said that what in the future if we want more than 50? So the reason we didn't put in a number is not because we wanted to have a floor, but because they didn't want to have too low a ceiling. That's how progressive we were. India is one of the few countries where we didn't have to fight a suffragette movement for universal adult franchise. The UK, the US, women got the right to vote much after. India was not like that. But the Women's Reservation Bill has been lying in cold storage. There are only 2 parties today in Parliament. One is the Biju Janata Dal, and the other is the Trinamool Congress. That is more than 33% of female parliamentarians. We have 9 out of 23 MPs in Lok Sabha as women, which is 39%, and a similar number in the Rajya Sabha. No, but this is, it just goes to show that you can do it. Biju Janata Dal, same thing. But again, for those of people, you don't need a law to tell you the right thing to do. But I always use this example. Yes, you shouldn't beat your wife. And most men don't do it. But if there's a law that will really punish you hard, you don't do it. So I think it is high time that we need that stick, that carrot is over. Doing the right thing, time is over. Now we need a law, get your act in shape, and that's what we had with board representations. In Norway, in Finland, they came in overnight and said 50% of all corporate boards need to have women. So all companies got their act together. It's as simple as that. So in order to get the representation in, all of these other factors, yes, they will always continue to be, but it's high time we got that law done.
But unfortunately, there is.
Yeah, because
it's
you're
a
passing
deadlock now.
ordinances on everything. Why don't you pass an ordinance on this? I don't get it. You have brute majority in both houses now. Instead of using it to ram things like the CAA down our throats, why don't you go ahead and do the women's reservation bill? It's unbelievable.
That's a challenge
Just
to
to
BJP.
add
Why
a
don't you
few
bring an
things.
ordinance? Yes.
Just to add a few important historical gestures, because the right for family property was made as a law. First state throughout India was made as a law in Tamil Nadu. That was during Kalanga's period in DMK. And 20% reservation for the women, like in job reservation. Now the present chief minister, as soon as he assumed office, he just raised the benchmark as 40%. So whenever, like we assumed office, the first thing that we do is, because as Mahua rightly points out, we do have all these benchmarks, we need all these strategical points to uplift women in strategical decision-making places. So now we have 40% reservation in job. And throughout India, we were the first state to give women the right for the family property. So you can see our track record. Whenever we assumed office, the upliftment of women, not merely in the social arena, but in the political decision-making places also was a major agenda of our party. Just an add-on list.
Okay. Another question that I would like to address to you is, how do you reconcile your personal politics with what is happening in your party? I mean, like for example, West Bengal is a state where I've never covered West Bengal, but I do read about violence in West Bengal, and it has sort of increased now because of who's entered and all that stuff. So, but how do you reconcile your personal politics with what's happening around you, and when people always want you to react to a certain thing which is happening?
I think it's with anything, right? It's when I worked in JP Morgan and during the bond crisis that we sold, multi-layered tranched debt to little pension holders in Norway, little old ladies who bought pension funds bought into multi-tranched bonds, not even knowing what the risks were. I worked in JP Morgan. I got a salary. I got a fat bonus at the end of the day. Did I go home and think about it? Not really. Right? Did a lot of us? No, not really. So I think in most of our lives, when you're a doctor working as part of a large super specialty chain of hospitals, you know that you're being asked to go 3 times and seeing a patient, and they're charging 1,200 rupees every time you go see that patient, whether they don't. And do you understand? And you're increasing billing, that you're putting in tests that you don't need to do. So all of us in our professional lives are faced with situations where you're part of a system that is not ideal, but at the same time, you do your job and you keep your head down and you kind of think that I'm plowing the long furrow. Excuse me, sorry. Thanks. So I think that's important. Reconciling personal with public, it's the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, if you think you're within the broad framework of what your party believes in is what you believe in, it's okay, because you need a platform. That independent route in India doesn't work. If it's more than 20%, if you think that the party and you don't connect on more than 80% or less than 80% of occasions, you need to have a serious rethink as to where you are. But I use the 80-20 rule. Not everything that
But when
is
people
ideal.
keep prodding you, react to this.
You react to what? You got to have a very thick skin in politics. So when people react to something, I react to thing. I have a very simple thing. I just don't pick up the phone. I just don't pick up the phone. So anything happens, like 200 media guys will call and they'll be like, I've had people write the other day. Someone wrote and said that in a Bengali newspaper, this guy kept calling, and he called on FaceTime audio. Now few people call on FaceTime audio, right? So I picked it up and he says, can you just react to this, that you're joining the Congress? And I said, you idiot, you call me once more, I'll block you. So he went and wrote so he called me, he wrote this on the news thing. I called her and she abused me and said she'd block me, right? And I said, okay, that's part of the game. So if you can take it on the chin and go with it, that's fine. So that's my way of dealing with it. May not be the ideal way of dealing with it, but everyone finds a way to deal with it. But you've got to find a way of dealing with it on a daily basis, otherwise you'll go mad. Like, again, come back to the principle, you can't make everyone happy.
So I'm going to have a last question for the first two sessions, and then we go to politics. No, this is not. This is a nicer, happy. Actually, I don't know watch. I don't know what time it is. And oh, yes, okay. And my eyesight is poor, so I can't even see the clock properly. But yes, so my last question is to both of you. You spoke about the Women Reservation Bill. It is during the Women Reservation Bill that we saw women parliamentarians sort of coming together to sort of push through the bill. So is there like this channel of communication between women parliamentarians cutting across parties, or is it just our imagination most of the time? First. And second is, how do you find yourselves, how do you navigate in the current parliament as women parliamentarians?
Not anything. No, we don't have any special navigation or whatever it is. It's just like me and Mahua, like get along like a house of fire. Like we just know within our spirit of camaraderie, we begin to align according to the principles, ideology. That's the thing that we bring us closer together. But even cutting across the party lines, certain things, if it is women-related issue, or if it is, like pan-India in the canvas of the global thing, all of us will be united together. But certain things need to be decided by the party flow head. And when instruction comes from them, we may discuss with our fellow parliamentarians, and we'll come into a decisive way of action. But nothing like properly geared up, and this is how we are going
Like
to
there's
work
a
it up.
secret WhatsApp group of women MPs.
Somebody runs a sari group.
Yeah.
We run a sari group. Yeah.
We run a sari group. We run a friends group, probably. All these other things we do. And I mean, friendship is entirely a different thing. We are very close friends, it's a different thing. But generally, we don't have any such sort of a channelized way of navigating and then a working agenda or whatever. But generally, we get along very well with because you might have seen all our Facebook and the Instagram photographs, first day of the parliament, and my book being shared, with all the camaraderie and all the lovely moments we share, but not specific way of working, this is how we all join together, or this is how we work together, something like that.
I think women instinctively know when they're in a minority, and they know that they have to stick together. So, I mean, there are only, 81 women, and there are like 462 men in the Lok Sabha. So instinctively, whether you're in the treasury benches or in opposition, we all know that very few of us have had very easy roads to get there, right? I mean, even those that have won in and come in is because who say, oh, they've got family quota. Some of them have very tragic stories. Father dying suddenly, husband committing suicide who was an MP. A lot of women have come in as parliamentarians because of great personal tragedies. It's not like, even on so-called family quotas, it's not always easy for a lot of them. So I think that connection is, the connection as women, as we always feel like you're in a minority. But having said that, I think with time in the last few years, it was probably better before, but now because of the party whip. In India, we don't have the system of the conscience whip. You have to follow your party's whip. Yeah. So because of that, there are issues where all of us, both in treasury benches, sometimes I'm sure the BJP ladies would want to come out I've had BJP women calling me when I was filing the Bilkis Bano case and said, oh my God, I'm so glad you did it. But I know they can't say it aloud. Similarly, there are situations where I might have wanted to come out all guns blazing, but I know what my party's position is, so I can't. So we all operate within that larger framework, but but otherwise, more than that, it is a good feeling of, as anywhere.
Since you spoke about Bilkis Bano, and we are going to move to the next more serious questions, why did you decide to be a litigant in that case? You have approached the court against remission for the rapists.
Yeah, I think it's one of the things I felt very strongly about. It's obviously a case that we'd all followed, and at the end, when it came out, and I heard Bilkis say that, is this how justice is supposed to end? And that is something so poignant in that, which she said, and it's true. And if you think, there's so much that is so wrong with that remission, and I don't even want to go into the nitty-gritty of it. Most of you know about it. But the issue is, if you think about Bilkis fought for 17 years. Yes, it was an horrendous crime, but Bilkis was also a very brave woman. Just think about it. The Gujarat police were filing a closure report. And she said, no, this can't happen. She went to the Supreme Court. She did this done. They gave it to the CBI, moved it to another state. She fought it all. It was only in 2019 that she finally got her 50 lakhs. Her money only came in 2019. Think about it. Deepak Gupta gave it to her when? Just 3 years ago. So now for Bilkis to come back and to say to appeal against it, who could appeal? Technically on locus, on jurisdiction, it can either be Bilkis, it can be the CBI, or it can be the Gujarat government. The CBI is not going to go into appeal into this, nor is the Gujarat government. So what does it leave? It leaves poor Bilkis. Bilkis is just about getting her life back on track. You know, her kid is in college, other kids are in school, she's got her 50 lakhs. Now again, she's in hiding. She's again filled with the horror of these things. And I think what was so bad about this was not so much that even the men have got remission, but the fact that they're being felicitated. I mean, that's what really hit me. The fact that people can go and feed them laddus and give them garlands, I'm like, have you all gone mad? And I could not understand how everyone around me didn't think that we'd gone mad. And I was like, if I didn't do something, I mean, I'll go mad. I just lose whatever moral compass I have. So that's why I felt that we had to, and I knew instinctively that this is something we had to do. And I knew instinctively that if there was this much justice left in the world, that we would get our foot in the door. Because everyone warned me, you don't have locus in this case. You're nobody, you're nobody. I said, what do you mean? Who's nobody? We are women, this can happen to me tomorrow. It can happen to anybody. I mean, this is a country where average pendencies are 15 years. Where people don't get out of jail, the trials don't start for 20 years. And in 14 years, in such a thing, crime, you're getting out. And this jury is made up of 10 people, out of which 5 are from the ruling party. No, not the jury, the committee.
The committee.
You know, so there's so much wrong with that case. So it's just something that I felt very instinctively, I just felt it was the worst thing I'd ever seen. And if I didn't say anything about it, I would really be, like I wrote about in the Indian Express, that I would feel I was a perpetrator in that crime. And I do not want that on my conscience.
You know, many political parties, governments go back on their decisions. Like if they're criticized a lot, they decide to take it back. But the BJP has totally brazened it out. I mean, despite all the criticism.
The BJP, Dhanya, the BJP, forgive my words, is such I don't want to use the word shameless, because that's what the papers will pick up tomorrow and say Mahua Moitra arrives in Chennai, calls BJP shameless. But if you can find a better word for it, that's what it would be. So they are people who, unless their backs are pushed to the wall, they never take it around, right? So if you saw with the farm laws, like because it was who it was, and because they stayed on the ground for as long as they did, and otherwise anything less than that, they would never have repealed it. So even with Bilkis, wait and see, right? Wait and see what happens. Let's see what the court says, what a thing says. And right now, they are trying to have a hands-off policy. So if you think about it, the Bilkis remission is out for 2 months. Do you know the remission order is still not public? The remission order is still not public in a case like this. We are still guessing whether the central government said yes or no. We are still guessing. Why should we have to guess? We are still guessing as to whether the CBI judge was asked for his opinion or not. None of the facts. So our point was bring it in public domain. So I think so the BJP always leaves room for themselves. They play good cop, bad cop. So, you know, you wait for the PM to come and say, oh, you know what? He's this great man. And he's decided that look, the farmers, I'm finally listening to you. And I'm giving you. So, you know, it is not past the PM to come out and say, ye jo hua, bahut kharab hua, Bilkis ke saath, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, all of these guys should go back to jail. They always leave enough room for maneuver. Which is why nobody from the BJP, what about all these, I mean, we sit in parliament and you have these leaders from the BJP who are like doing this and making big eyes and doing all these histrionics every day, shouting, screaming. We were in parliament when what is it, Adhir said that Rashtrapatni. And he's a Bengali speaker, I'm a Bengali speaker. You know, if your Tamil speaker is speaking Hindi, anybody can have Pati Patni, a thing like that, shouting, screaming in parliament. What happens in Bilkis? Which BJP female minister has said one word on Bilkis? So they always leave room for themselves where they say, no, we didn't say good, we didn't say bad. Now we have room to maneuver. So all of this I treat with a huge pinch of salt, and nothing happens naturally for them. Everything is well thought out, and this is some part of some well thought out strategy. Let's see what the court says, and then you'll see how they react. Sorry, very long.
No, not at all. So the next question, again, both of you, because one part of the question is to you and the other part to her. As a journalist, when I keep seeing people speak about communalism, when parties take on communalism, in many ways, for example, even if it's the Bilkis Banu case, or you're also litigating the CAA case, right, in court, is the message really going to the public? Because most of them are convinced by the message from the other side. Is the messaging wrong in one way? For example, A. Raja's speech recently where he spoke about 2 Hindus. And when you spoke about Kali after Leena Manimegale, who is from Chennai, incidentally, it was based on her movie that this whole controversy started. Sometimes do you think the message is not going, and there is that risk that when you say a 2 Hindus comment or there's a Kali comment, that you are going to be pissing off a lot of people and be misread?
I think being misread is the greatest danger we politicians face. Our friend Raja's speech was also, see, you have to publicize it or you have to broadcast his full speech. But this cutting and editing as per your own propaganda, suitable to your needs, all these Goebbels propaganda, according to your whims and fancies, it's just, like doesn't have any moral norms at all. That's how it is. You have to look at it in which context he has spoken and just broadcast the whole speech. And if there is any offendable, it has offended any religious sentiments or whatever it is, then that's a different story after your broadcasting of the whole speech. But this has been the way of the opposition parties or the mischief mongers, that they always pick up certain parts of the speeches and then edit it conveniently and throws it off and on and on and off 20 times, 15 times, 60 times, just the edited version of it. So that, this is a very quick world nowadays. People, don't have that much of patience just to go through all the other context, in which meeting, what was the other references, nothing. Just the 2 sentences or just the 2 clippings will definitely make a very bad impact in the minds of the listeners, as well as visually also it will affect. So when you are doing it, you should just think about at least the basic moral code in the politics or be it whatever it is. So have the guts to propagate or to broadcast the whole speech or the whole version, and just we are willing to discuss, open in the public. Don't just do this Goebbels act of always just picking up little bit convenient pieces and trying to walk out with the communal factions, trying to create, like disturbances within the harmonious living of different groups or different
that is
societies.
An inherent risk, right? That population has increased.
Look, that it is, and propaganda and fake news is the biggest industry in India today. If you think about what's the biggest industry in India, I would say fake news is the biggest industry in India. Everyone's interested in just peddling what works, and elections are just fought on propaganda and fake news and on WhatsApp. Every morning, you'll be surprised that in every booth, when you see how, when people ask me that, oh, how are you going to compete with BJP? I'm like, I'm not. It's not even a game I want to play. Because the day I decide that my only job in life is to decide how I will have 10 people sitting in every booth in India, sitting and spreading lies and editing little videotapes that I can send to people, I may as well shoot myself. Think about it. This is what they're doing. It has nothing to do with truth, with reality. You have Amit Malviya, you have these, they call them IT cell, I call them troll cells. All they're doing is sitting, there's nothing IT about it, right? You're just sitting there and making these fake news, making these lies up, and deciding how best to disseminate them. I mean, any idiot can do that. Anybody can do that. You just need to hate enough. So we don't want to get into that game, and this is something you deal with, and all you can hope is that people over time will see what it is. But we can't certainly get into that game of trying to out-propaganda them. It doesn't work.
Recently, AIMS hospital, big lie, like recently BJP president had visited Tamil Nadu, and AIMS, 95% of the work has been done. And 2 of our MPs, Manik Thakur and MP Venkateshan, they went and they had a sort of a gallivant walking over the empty space, and that's how it is.
No, I have to tell you about fake news here. So JP Nadda came and made this speech, and we had a headline saying BJP says 95% of AIMS is complete, the building is 100% invisible, which is our headline.
Yeah.
So when we, but let me finish the story. When we put out the story, Shabir, who's my colleague and he heads our Tamil Nadu bureau, he did an interview with Manikam Tagore, who's a Congress MP. So Tagore was telling us, I went to this place, and while this live was going on, they were furiously tweeting to me saying that you guys are peddling fake news. He said 95% preparatory work. And I'm like, no chance, because I heard the speech myself and I thought, okay, it's a 22. No, it's a 22 minute
Let
speech.
them just show the
What
at
if
least the
he said
preparatory
something?
work
So
then.
I listened to JP Nadda for 22 minutes, 35 seconds.
That's painful enough
Yes.
as it is. I mean,
No,
my God.
I listened to it, and then I told Shabir, no, I mean, it's true. He
I
did
hope this
say
isn't
that.
being televised. I'm going to have like 5 FIRs against me in Tamil Nadu tomorrow. Dhanya.
But I think that's the impact of fake news, that I had to recheck myself. I have heard the speech and I'm like, did he say preparatory?
Yesterday, a friend of mine tells me, he says, you know, I don't know what's with this Rahul Yatra. You know, they came out of a breakfast place and they were all tired and they were all having a drink in a breakfast
They were
place.
drunk,
I'm like,
right?
what?
They were drunk.
And it turns out they were there and there was an uneasy step. So people were just taking their time. And it's a vegetarian, like an idli dosa kind of place where people just went in for a coffee and a morning meal. So,
But what is the problem if they had a cup of
no, but
glass
that's
of
even
toddy with
second.
it?
But you see, they want you to argue that and say what is wrong. So
Yes.
some people will say what is wrong. Why even get there? We are always trying to sort of, trying to defend that it's not a lie. The onus is always on us. That is the problem.
So
Right.
2 more questions and I'll come to the audience because and then
Really bored now. They want to talk.
no. As in they have a lot of questions. I've got email. Is it getting warmer, Ram? What about the media, the mainstream media? I think in Tamil, Malayalam, Telugu, we don't face as much problem, Kannada, but the English and the Hindi media, how much are they contributing to the rise of, or the rather downfall of democracy in this country?
Look, there are 3 pillars, right? I mean, and the media is one of them. The media in India, and I have no hesitation in saying this, mainstream media is probably 95% sold out.
TV.
Yeah, TV, bit of print also. And it's completely sold out. And if you see the 5 largest houses in India and you see their ownership, I mean, there's nothing. I mean, you just look at their ownership. So there's nothing on, the model is bust. The revenue model is bust. And if you see something like even the Times Group, and I'm even mentioning it, if you're having a private equity arm, if you have a private equity arm and you're investing in companies and you're taking advertising revenue from them, how does it work then? And India doesn't do caveats very well. So in the US, for example, or in Europe, if you're writing a column and you have an interest in something, you've got to mention that. There exists nothing like that in India. So the difference between reportage and editorial content, the lines have got completely blurred now. There's factual reporting and there is what you think. There is editorial content, right? But now in India, there's nothing known as factual reporting or editorial. The lines are completely blurred. So I would say the media, especially in the last 5 years, is very, very largely to blame. And this 24/7 TV, we used to watch the news at 9 o'clock. You only watch TV once a day to see the news. Or you watch Doordarshan at 6 o'clock to see a show you like. Now people feel, and there's no news 24/7. That's why 18-hour coverage of some child has fallen into a well. 18 hours, we are all watching the child coming out of the well. Because you're really feeling that need. So 24/7 media has also brought in the need to just outmaneuver each other in terms of fake propaganda. You know it better than me.
Yes. I worked 8 years there, not this. Yeah.
And then you realize the nation didn't want to know.
Yes, very much. Yes. No, that's how I normally introduce myself. I said nation wants to know for 8 years, then I decided the nation doesn't want to know. Yeah. So the same question to you. How much do you think the media's, even for example, A. Raja's speech, for example, the last 2-3 days, the discussions on TV channels, the polarized way in which discussions happen, is there really any way out?
As Mahua has rightly pointed out, we have to bear this burden of carrying out the explanation. Why? That actually exasperate us at certain point of time, and then just we leave it like that. Let people know the truth. But at some point of time, you have to really make them understand that this is not the actual speech. This has been a misinterpreted one. The same thing has been happening to him for many times. I mean, when the elections were also on, some speeches, remarks about the ex-chief minister also, that has also been cut and edited like that, and such a hue and cry over it. So a particular party is taking up it as an agenda and then trying to, like poison. I have had a professor by name T.V. Shubarav who had his education at Cambridge as a student of F.R. Lewis. He always calls these kind of things as domestic poison. The press, the TV channels, straight away they come to your drawing room and puts poison inside your mind by all these edited visuals. So it is a difficult thing for us, but we do face it with different ways of, like, for example, day before yesterday, I went to attend all the like orientation workshop for all the young party cadres, as well as public and also address. Our party is thinking in those lines, how to reach out to youngsters, take up the current issues, make things very clear, and face all these false propaganda. So we are trying to reach out to grassroots as well as through our own channels also, probably the TV channels or the print media. But still, the milling ground of the liars are so much, it's so big that we are still, like struggling to, anyway, that's how it is. The goebbels, the way it works, they are faster and they network because they've got stinkingly rich coins in their storage and they're just throwing it out, like morning, afternoon and evening, 4 times, 5 times a day, repeatedly. Parties ITVing or the WhatsApp group. I'd recently been in USA a month ago, and so many people have come and asked me, now that your chief minister DMK has come back to power, we have heard that so many temples are being destroyed. What is this? I got so flabbergasted. That is the word. I wanted to use this word, flabbergasted, not angry at all. Then I said, show me the proof for that. No, we heard it through WhatsApp. This propagating false news through WhatsApp has been a big menace to us.
But we have been speaking about the BJP being very good at spreading things.
Right.
For a long time.
Yeah.
Why have you all not found a counter to this? It's not like that technology.
See, at a certain point of time, we always feel that we have got 1,001 better things to do.
Like
we
what?
do that.
Why are you not countering propaganda?
Tell me something. If someone's sitting there every day and just lying, are you going to sit there every day and say, oh, you're lying? At the end of the day, you'll go mad. I have not been elected here to shut Amit Malviya up. That's not my job. I'm sorry, right?
Yes.
I really haven't. If he's a loser, he's a loser. People will sooner or later realize he's a loser, and I'm done with that.
But people will sooner realize that.
That doesn't matter. But that's fine. That's fine.
Is that happening?
No, that doesn't matter. But that is a process that India needs to go through also. It is not just on my shoulders to make the world understand that this guy's a loser, right? Then I'm in the wrong country, clearly.
Maybe he's watching.
Right? No. Then maybe I'm in the wrong business, because if I have been elected to do a job, and I must be able to do my job for 95% of the time. I mean, I have to look after a constituency. I have 7 assemblies, so people care about major issues, and it's really not about Twitter. And all these things that English media care so much about, which is the Twitter and all of this, when you actually go to the grassroots, I don't know what it's Tamil Nadu, but at least in my area, nobody even cares. Nobody cares. They don't know. A lot of things that we PLUs or in urban areas think is so important. In rural areas, a lot of people don't really care about those things. And you have to understand that for us, it's about keeping it real also. About dealing with 90% of issues that affect people's lives on a daily basis, and the IT cell is not one of them. So I devote time once in a while. When people say, "Oh, you don't engage on Twitter," I'm like, yeah, these are a bunch of unknown bots sitting somewhere. I'm supposed to waste valuable time. So sometimes, when I say a particularly nasty one, I quite enjoy. I write something very nasty.
I do the stress
I'm
buster.
loving it. I just go in. I just go and abuse a few people. I feel great after it. It's fantastic. Absolutely. It's fantastic. I just love it. I love it. And then somebody else wrote, "Ma'am, you're turning into a great troll." I said, "Aren't I?" So, but jokes aside, how do you counter it? Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like some school bully. I mean, what do? Beat him up every day? Right? Yeah. 10 years later, you are sitting where you are, and, he's probably selling like tea somewhere. So...
you're both from states which have non-BJP governments. How are you? I mean, the states are very vocal about how they are not treated well, how they're not treated uniformly as the other BJP states. But in Parliament, also, like I've heard of MP Lads not being released to people from MPs from the opposition. Could you tell what happened?
Yeah, that's again to an extent it's very true, because even we have to make a huge cry over this remission of our MP funds again, because only 1 year. See, the main problem is, as she says, we have a lot of rural constituencies. How do I go and explain to my rural constituents that have not been given. 12.5 crores have been taken away for the PM Care Fund. We are given 5 crores. Only 1920, I made full use of that money. 2021 full? Yeah. 21-22, 10. So the latter part of the 1920. So
2020.
yeah.
2020.
No, 1920, the latter part.
Okay.
March, we had this, like, see, you have to understand, we have to choose a place. For example, if I'm allotting particular amount of money for some Samudaya Nalakudam or a school building, we have to choose a place, and then we have to see whether it is in the OSR land or in the corporation, all those things, whether so many things are there. And having, cross over all those obstacles, deciding and then getting the funds and submitting accounts, how does it work these days? So in spite of all these hurdles, we are trying our maximum best, like to ask for money. They don't have, first of all, any right to take our money. And the funniest part, nowhere in the world, the PM Care Fund doesn't have an audit for that. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? So that's what's happening. So we have to fight for all our rights. That's why our Chief Minister has been very vocal about the rights of federalism. We are the worst sufferers of it. For example, education, in the front of education. How long we have to fight for our rights? For a need, for example, and imagine the controversies with all the universities with our Ghana. So all these, like rubbing the shoulder on the wrong sides is because we are in the opposition party. So many other things. It gets delayed. I don't see, they'll all be very cordial. They'll all welcome you with yeah, that's what. See, there's nothing there. I should accept the fact that all of them are very cordial. All of them will be very friendly. But nothing will be done across the table, over the table. That's the thing, saddest part of it.
Yeah, I call it tea and cashew nut diplomacy. You go there, they'll badam khaiye, kaju khaiye, kaju khaiye. They'll give you kaju, they'll give you a cup of tea. Come away, nothing. Nothing.
So before I go to the audience, there was a speech that you made in the parliament which had become viral in our new lingo, 7 Faces of Fascism.
Oh, the first one. Okay.
Yes. How do you judge what face India is? Or
no, all of them. I think all those signs are true. That was, the 7 signs of fascism. And actually, there's more. There's like 12 signs in the original one. And I think we're true in the Indian context. If you think about it, I think all of them ring true even today. So, I don't think it was any sort of great thing that I said, or it was rocket science. I just need to read it in the Indian context, and it's true. And it's just getting worse. Every day something happens that makes me feel like, God, we're really on a path where even to fix it, sometimes I think if the BJP were to go today, it would still take us 20 years to fix what has already gone wrong. No, I really worry about that sometime, So, this is something we have to fix in our lifetime.
like for the hijab issue in Karnataka, because I come from Bangalore. When we cover it, it is so difficult to explain to people that this is about choice. This is about states' control over women. And then the constant questions, but you are supporting the Iranian protest. I'm like, yes, we have to support both.
Because it's a woman's choice.
Yes.
Choice is very
So the damage is quite severe.
Nowhere is it great. I had spoken on the DMK Youth Conclave, I brought up in education. Nowhere is the damage longer lasting than in education. You can't change history. Whether good or bad, history is history. If the Mughals came to India, they came to India. There's no two ways about it. If you had an evil stepmother, you had an evil stepmother. You can't just remove the fact that you had an evil stepmother. If we had Mughals, if we had a period of Mughal history, and there's good and bad in that. There might have been some bad things, but there are also good things about it. And you have to know history as it is. How can you just wipe out things? So this thing of just doing this selective thing is dangerous in the textbooks. It's dangerous. And that, I think, is going to have really long-lasting effects, because when you build in textbooks, you're creating a whole generation. 2 generations you've ruined. You've brainwashed them. So there are very long-lasting effects.
Yeah, Nehru's name, especially totally taken out of the freedom struggle personalities. Nehru's name had been deliberately omitted out from that. In the ad with the Karnataka government. Can you believe that these things are happening?
But B. Savarkar made it.
Yeah. That's the irony of it. Yes.
Yeah, he's even got an airport named after him now because of the bulbuls. He rode on the back of the bulbuls and came, right? It's the first flight, human avian flight.
Bulbuls.
So we'll go to the audience for questions. Ram, my colleague who made all of you come here at 4 p.m. will be handing over the mics.
can choose. Who wants to go first?
Who wants to go? Yes.
Dhanya chooses. I'll get the mic there.
Who has a question? Yes, ma'am. She's Valli Arunachalam. She's a
Thank you,
industrialist.
Valli Arunachalam, and thank you for keeping us at the edge of our seats with this lively discussion. I've never been to a political panel discussion before, and I never thought that I would be wide awake. So, my question to you is: just as there is a dearth of women in Parliament, there is a dearth of women in corporate India, and I have been front and center in gender discrimination on boards, despite being qualified. And what I'd like to ask you is there, the SEBI has had a mandate to have one independent woman director in the top 1,000 companies. But to me, in my personal opinion, that is just a check in the box. We need a critical mass of women in corporate India and on all boards in order to drive change down the corporations. So is there anything that we can do from the legislative point of view to increase the number of women on corporate boards?
There's everything you can do. You just need the Ministry of Corporate Affairs to come in with a bill which they make into an act, which they say that we're going to have 33% women on boards in all companies with a market cap of X or Y. That's all you need to do. It's the way Norway did it. It's the way most countries in Scandinavia did it 20 years ago.
Right.
There's no reason, there's nothing stopping us. But like I said, if they would legislate on things that mattered rather than legislate on things like, CAA, then maybe we'd get somewhere. So, and I will ask corporate India to actually go in and put pressure. But what is also scary now is when I see all the industry bodies like WICI, like CII, there's, just 2 or 3 captains of industry who have had I would say, the spine to stand up in recent years and actually talk about what's mattered. Most people haven't. So this is something that corporate India, who are some of the biggest donors to the ruling party, can actually go in and put pressure. Because why do you donate to a party? You see, there are 2 things. Traditionally, ma'am, sit down, it's making me feel, please sit down. So traditionally, why do you have corporate donors? And all corporations donate to political parties. Previously, it used to be 2 things. One is that you'll have ease of business. And the second is that you can actually lobby for what matters to you. Under this new dispensation, it has all become just survival money. Do you understand what I'm saying? Nobody is in any position with this government to say that, I am donating to you, but can we also get our interests looked after? It is just like how a hawker pays the neighboring policeman, just let me keep my stuff here. That's exactly what's happening. What corporate India is doing today is just basically, let us just, don't set the agencies after us. Don't say it's all protection. It's nothing else. So corporate India has to come out of that, let us just survive mode and actually go out and pull their weight with the government and say that, listen, we are the top 100 corporations in India. This is our market cap. This is what we believe in. And this is the legislation you need to bring in. So I would say that, like, it's, if I haven't done work for 5 years in my constituency and I come back to vote, my voters will tell me on my face that you haven't done it. You do this for me. I voted for you. So it's high time to make governments accountable. Corporate India also needs to make governments accountable. It's not enough just to buy electoral bonds and donate to them. You've got to ask for your pound of flesh as well. Yeah, do you agree?
Before I ask a connected question, I would like to tell everyone in the audience to read Valli Arunachalam's battle, about her battle also. Go Google the moment you go back home, how she has fought for her position in the company that she is part of. So that's a story that is quite inspirational. But I have a connected question. You said that the corporate world also should pressurize the government, right? Do we really have any such hopes? Because even when see communalism or fascism around you, corporates and people who have the wherewithal to actually oppose things, they hardly say anything. In fact, that's a huge disappointment.
That's the world over, though. That's the world over. People, you've just too much to lose. You've just too much to lose, right? So that's not just, that's everywhere. You've just too much to lose. People are status quoists and they just want to get on with. Remember, when you're running a business, you don't want to be bothered with other stuff. You want to run your business. You want to look after your employees. You want to make the product you want to make. You don't want to come out as the activist and make things. This is also, I have a lot of friends in industry and I talk to them and I say, why don't you come out? They're like, it's not that I don't feel for it, but what do? I have my company raided tomorrow. I have 20,000 employees to look after.
They have the CSR, like Darren's, their social responsibilities. Don't take it in the other sense. They are just, like in connection with the question. So maximum they'll do that.
CSR.
Yeah, that's
And
it.
then, yeah, everything is fine. But if, yes, actually it's a point that corporates can try to do something and push for more representation in companies. Yes, a lot of hands going up. I'll just go to the person in the back because he put up his hand first.
Yeah, hi. My name is Kafil. So we talked about women's reservation in legislature. But as far as the political parties is concerned, for example, DMK has the internal party elections which is going on. But we see only one woman who has filed a nomination, who's Geeta Jivan for district secretary, and no one from DMK has filed for district secretary. So what is the reason that women's inside DMK are not filing for nomination for the district post?
I already told you that there were 3 women district secretaries, Sangair Kanni, Geeta Jivan, and one more. I'm yet to find out the recent fact that you have taken it out. See, actually, it's a DMK party. As far as our party is concerned, whoever wants, they can file an application. There's no restrictions on that. So we have to find it out whether they were not willing to take up the choices or whatever it is.
Has the DMK made the atmosphere amicable for women to come forward? And if women are told there's no winnability, there's no point, or there are 5 men around them saying that we want to be. So if you've not created the atmosphere, then how is it okay just saying that? But
see, this problem exists in all the walks of life.
Of course.
And you have a democratic party leadership wherein you can always go and represent your case and present your arguments. This is how it is. It is my choice, but I have all these hindrances. In DMK, it does happen. You can. DMK, it is in the Podukululayum, Sayarkululayum, Endirchu Pesakuriya democratic avenues and openings irukra party still it is. So if you can, if you want, you can file it. Whether you win it or, not, it's a different question. But this is not only the problem which is exclusively existing inside our party, because so many other examples I have given. Because we want to start it from the grassroots level, and lots of, even recently our chief minister has announced and made it mandatory that only the elect women councillor has to attend the meeting, not their husbands or their brothers, because that's been a customary practice so long. So he made it as a mandatory rule, and he checks it also. I myself have seen so many meetings, only it will be, even the chairs will be occupied by their male counterparts. So it is now, he is trying to make it mandatory, and we are trying to make the women also to be aware of it. Lot of resistance. We are conducting workshops. In fact, we are trying to engage counselors also to them, trying to instill that they have the right. And because we want them to come and, sit on that particular chair. Chair is not just a chair. It's a metaphor for your power to political making, decision-making thing. So you can see in Chennai itself how many women councillors are on the ground. Every day I can see that.
Yes.
Hello. So my name is Kaushik Krishna. I'm architect, urban designer, practitioner, and academician. So first of all, I'm really happy to find a sensible conversation between politicians here. Probably we can call this sense ki baat and televise it every now and then also. So my first question here would be about right-wingers using this representation of women for vote bank politics. Does it really happen here? Because I mentioned right-wingers very specifically because they take their inspiration from our medieval India, because that is where it all developed.
So you're saying they're going to use it against us? Or I didn't get the question.
A representation of women is actually being carried out. So is it really
No, I
based
think what
on...
he means saying that in the local elections here, etc., the BJP has more women candidates.
If I can mention the party's name, definitely that is what is happening.
It's not like...
they have in what? In Tamil Nadu?
Yes.
Even in Kerala, I think in the local elections, they had a lot of
women.
But that's because there is 50%.
I just believe it is based on vote bank politics alone.
See,
when they don't win anyway, so it doesn't matter. Here, I'm saying here. I'm not saying anywhere else, but
Participation is very important. See, I don't deny participation is very, very important. Winning is another question.
yes. So
See,
there
a
is no
party,
winnability, right?
yeah, a party which doesn't actually believe in the empowerment of women, which talks so much about the Manusmriti and quotes Manusmriti as a basic text, which is an entanglement which always enslave women. If they pitch just 100 members for a local body election or a parliamentary election, do you call them as a progressive party? When the choice for the national bird, whether it is what is that, peacock or something, இந்தியாவினுடைய தேசிய பறவை என்னவாக இருக்க வேண்டும், மயிலாக இருக்க வேண்டுமா, காகமாக இருக்க வேண்டுமா அப்படின்னு ஒரு கேள்வி வந்தப்ப பேரறிஞர் அண்ணா வந்து சொன்னார், எண்ணிக்கையை மட்டும் வச்சு, if you just count on by numbers, then crow can be the national bird of India. But now, as a writer, as a progressive person, I will say, why not a crow? Not necessarily a peacock. A crow is also, like a bird which has its own values or whatever it is. That's a different question. So numbers just need not justify the ideals of the party. That may be definitely for the vote politics only.
No, and
you can't just vouch for their principles or whatever it is. If they pitch 200 women and then they advocate for the suppression of the women, you can't just take it as a progressive
idea. As a journalist who covers politics, I think that observation will not work, because see, in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, etc., the BJP can make anyone stand because they're not winning now, so it doesn't matter. At some point of time when they win,
That's when you need to see.
will they have 50% women candidates? No. Now they can do that grand gesture, they can afford to do it, but the moment the winnability comes in, do we see the BJP doing the same in Uttar Pradesh or other places? So that's the point. Okay. Yes.
Vanakkam Muva. Thank you for coming to
my-
Chennai. And thank you, Mr. Kumravel. I think Chennai definitely needed something like this. We are so happy. Well, we're talking about 33.5% and 50%. Why are we fighting over that? Why don't we have an all-women party? Why hasn't anybody thought about it? Let's all fight together. Then let's see if it is muscle power or money power that's going to stop us. So why don't you all make the beginning?
Which is what? Are we only going to get what? Are we only going to appeal to women voters or just have women running the party?
Well,
The entire party.
Well,
the
she
entire
doesn't
country
want me
will
to ask
contest.
for
Why
a
don't you
ticket, I
contest?
think.
Are we going to tell the men not to vote for us? Because I know when I go and tell my constituents that you can't stand on my party's ticket, they'll say, fine, then you don't ask men to vote for you. And that's not going to work.
Why don't we change that? Because change needs to be, happening somewhere.
I think asking two sitting politicians whether they will form a different party is a bit problematic. I can
No, but
only-
I like the spirit though.
See, we
I think
are-
the spirit's in the right direction.
We are so
I
generous
definitely-
enough to include men also in that, please.
No, see,
We'll
let
be
them
boss-
fight. I think let them fight for the 33.5%.
we'll be boss and they can come in. I agree with you.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Why not?
No, I run a news organization where it is like that, 70 and 30. Slowly, when they climb up, I'm like again bringing it down. But but it doesn't work in politics that way. Is my observation that you can't have it's not like a Greens party. You can't have a women's party and expect people to vote for you, and you need money. There is absolutely no other way in Indian politics. You also need money.
Always
but I
feel
think-
that there needs to be a change, because I come from a space industry, and people felt only men can do space. I'm the only woman in that industry still sustaining for the last 7 years,
congratulations, yeah.
building satellites and
Congratulations.
telling that we can do it.
Yeah.
So similarly, I thought politics is another place that we have to prove. It might take 2 decades, but we
Yeah,
can
that's
try.
true. See, even when Aristotle was teaching his principles, like to his followers, that women were lesser in creation, they were in a way subjugated down men. At that century, a woman was the first woman who disguised herself as a man, became the world's first doctor. So somebody would be definitely making inroads, even when the world will be trying to pull you backward. But this is, I think, a dream of Timbuktu or utopia, I guess. All women
But
party.
it's a good idea. I think I like her spirit. That's
Yes.
Yeah.
Arun.
Hi. I'd like to introduce myself once again to you as Aruna Subramaniam. And I want to qualify that I'm going to label myself as a concerned citizen. Thank you for that scintillating conversation. One of the things that we have understood, you were talking about the larger effect on the country itself. How are we going to reverse this? with the current dispensation. So one of the things that we have been sold is that Hinduism is in danger. Hindus are in danger in this country. And I see a lot of my peers, educated people, industrialists, academicians have bought into that theory. So that is, and what we feel is that, and more so men, I see more so men have bought into it more than women. Women, when they have tasted the freedom, they were afraid to give away the freedom, so they kind of fight back. But men don't seem to understand that at all. So my concern really is that as politicians, you said that your elected duty is actually to go and fight for the laws of this country and why you're changing this or that. But my worry is, as people, we are fighting in WhatsApp groups, we are fighting within families. Everything has changed in the last few years as people. What is happening to the country and how are, I mean, and this is because of the politicians. This has happened because of the politicians and the ideologies that they represent. So how are we going to even reverse this kind of a thing? And is that also not a responsibility of parties that come up with it?
Yeah, but you know, when you come up with this, it almost makes me laugh when people say that, oh, Hinduism in danger. I'm like, really? How's Hinduism in danger? I mean, you have a Hindu, you're living in India, you have a Hindu president, you have a Hindu prime minister, you have 99% of the cabinet, which is Hindu. You look at any stream of life and you take the top 100 people in that, 95% of them are Hindus, probably more. Never in the bureaucracy have we had minority representation as low as with this dispensation. You look at within the police services, yeah, you look at within the CBI, you look at anything. For the first time ever, you know, we've had no elected member of the NDA as a Muslim. How are Hindus in danger? I don't even get it.
How do people believe it?
But you know something, there is, but it's exactly, you can only fool some of the people some of the time. It's exactly what we saw in Europe 1939 to from I would say even 1925 to 1939, building up to the Second World War, where people believed that there were 6 million people out there who were going to come get these people, and these 6 million had to be exterminated. That's how you make people, I mean, this is classic propaganda. There's nothing, it's classic Goebbelsian theory. So we've seen this and we've seen it in history, and there's nothing that you and I can do actively to go change people's minds overnight. When you have such a large population of unemployed Indians, please understand, a quarter of the working age population of India today is unemployed. That's a frightful figure. Never before have we known such numbers. So when you have that, then what do you make people believe in? You got to make this, capture the energy of these people and channel it towards something. You can channel it towards love, or you can channel it towards hate. It's so much easier to channel it towards hate and say, oh, I'm not getting a job because there's some invisible minority out there who's, you know, eating up this land. There's this Muslim from Bangladesh who's climbing over, who's swimming across the river and coming in and taking over Bengal, right? And that's why Hindus can't survive in Bengal. That's why you've got all these theories where you have this large mass of, you know, ignorant, unemployed people sitting here willing to believe this rubbish. And that's their vote bank. And that, but that will only run for so long. I mean, I believe in that. So, I mean, what are you going to do as a concerned citizen? You can't even tell me something. In your own family, if they have a family WhatsApp group, you'll have 3 nutters in there sending you this shit every morning. You can't even get into a fight with your own uncle. So imagine, how am I going to go and change 5 million people?
Which is true. We are seeing friendships
in your
break.
college, in your college group. I know friends who've left college groups because every morning someone wakes up and says some Jai Mata Di nonsense every morning.
Yeah, Aruna, you won't believe.
So what's the answer? So you realize that you can't change this. You can't, because the problem is, look, we always had this fringe element in society, but they were the fringe. Like, I had a nutter uncle who would spout all this 15 years ago, but we all knew, oh, okay, you know, he can shut up. But now it has become okay. That nutter uncle has become mainstream.
And it's aspirational.
It has become okay to say all that in public that we kept as a dirty secret. Like, people somehow would say, "Arey, ye Musalman bade gande hain. They're very dirty." People would say it loudly. Nowadays, they thump their chest and they say that, oh God, you all live in ghettos, they're dirty, you know? So all of a sudden, these kinds of completely abominable, terrible, hate-filled comments have become part of mainstream narrative. So can you as a concerned citizen stop it? No. So how do you expect elected politicians to stop it? You've got to realize where the poison lies and vote these people out. I mean, you have the button. I don't, right?
I used to go to this Golu to all my friends' house. It's been a habitual ritual for us. We grew up with that. But if I post a picture of mine, say, for example, I'm going to come to your house for a Golu, they'll say, oh, this is politics. Now she's doing it for the politics. How do they know me? Have they ever seen me? Me and my mother going to Sriviliputtur every Margali Masam, do they know me actually well? Do they know that my mother is a very staunch Vaishnavite? And why do I have to go and explain each and every action of mine since I am a politician belonging to a particular party? Why are they, like without even knowing anything about me, my childhood, how do I grow up or whatever it is? If I post a picture, this is how you get being guffawed at or all sorts such hurting remarks, making, as you say, with the hashtags of being a Hindu or whatever it is. So at one point of time, you just, don't feel like arguing or then explaining yourself. You live by your own example. Let the world, take it as it is.
I exited my family groups when the Sabrimala temple was opened up for women. So women reporters were going to Sabrimala, including my reporter. They were thrashed. Not because they were entering the temple, they were just covering it. So, we exist in these groups, we exist in our families thinking that it's, they'll never support violence. They will do everything, but they'll never support violence. But most people in my family are like, why did women reporters go? They deserve to be beaten up. Yeah, so it was no longer hypothetical for me that these people will not support violence. When violence came, they supported it. That's when I said tata bye-bye. But sometimes I feel like I want to go back there and fight. That there are days I don't want to do it. But we have to naturally wait it out. We have to voice our opinions, but naturally wait it out. Any other, I think...
It's like Kaushik says, he says, oh, we're having a sensible conversation. Kaushik, what may seem like a sensible conversation to you, unfortunately, for 90% of, middle-class India would probably seem like a useless, elitist, PLU, lip-tart conversation. Honestly.
Yeah.
A bunch of useless, irrelevant liberals
rice bags.
sitting there with nice bags and like red nail polish sitting.
No, rice bag, not nice bag.
Oh, I thought nice bags. Sorry, I'm seeing nice bags everywhere. But you know what I'm talking about. So I think sometimes I look at myself and I think, God, is it me? Like, am I just in the wrong space? Seriously.
Yes.
Very good evening to this August gathering. I'm Dr. Purnima, a proud DMK counselor from Greater Chennai Corporation. I'm basically a doctor by profession and MD graduate in medicine. So I'm in my 20s. What advice would you like to give a young politician who's just started into made baby steps into politics from such inspiring politicians with beauty and brains? That's my question to both of you.
Oh, wow. I mean, it's pretty impressive that you're already in 20s. You're doing much better than I did. I mean, really. I could ask you for some tips. I mean, you're already a doctor. I mean, I was in my 20s. I was like taking holidays and, I had no idea what to do. So I think you're doing pretty well, my dear. What do you say, Sumanthi?
Having come a long way and then having the guts to ask this question itself show that you are on the right track. And always, like you belong to my party and Thandai Periyar, whoever has said anything to you, just sit and think about it. Even if it's me, if it doesn't suit you, especially for your rationality and your logic, just, question it. That's the one thing. That's a very simple way. That's it. And not necessarily in politics, for any other, profession or whatever it is. I have my dear friend Swarna, who's had a long innings in this counseling or whatever career it is. That's the basic principle it is. You have to, even as a literature person, I always tell them, whatever is given to you as a literature text, just don't blindly take them and follow it. Question it. As a woman, it's different. It's a different thing for a man. So question it. Come to a conclusion according to your intuition, logic, as well as rationality, and then go ahead like that. That's a simple thing.
See, I'm glad I coerced you to come so that you could point out that example. Yes, questions. Okay, sorry. Yes.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for this wonderful evening. It's very enlightening. Thank you, Mr. Kumaravel and Mrs. Kumaravel and all the lovely ladies on the dais. I'm Bhagirathi. I'm in hospitality industry. I'm another concerned citizen. I have not only concerns, I'm deeply hurt when I see certain things. My college admission, the application was filled by my father, and I didn't even know what religion, what caste meant to me. And my son, when he was in school final, he's 26-year-old now, he started talking about religion and caste when he was in school. And he went to the best of best school here, and there, they started talking about it. It's a very pathetic situation. And, we are talking about domestic poisoning through fake news and all that. Even in Tamil Nadu, though it is ruled by a party like DMK, Since you mentioned about Golu, I'd been to Pumbuhar, a handicraft showroom run by Tamil Nadu government, and I saw Patel's dolls and Netaji's. I saw very few Gandhis. There was no Nehru. There was no Bharati. Okay, it really hurts me as a citizen of Tamil Nadu, as a citizen of India, because this is not the India that I lived all my years. And
Ma'am, can you get to the question, because I do have others.
Yeah, I mean, how do I react to all these things? Because Tamil Nadu, we never saw this, Ganesh
This
puja
kind of a
doing
drumming
this
up of
way.
emotions, she's asking.
And yeah, what is the solution? Because everywhere, slow poisoning is happening. Through Golu dolls, it's happening. And how are we going to correct it? The caste and community is dividing the people here, and even in Tamil Nadu, it is happening. It's deeply hurting.
That's what it's a matter of concern, as like you, for me also. As somebody said, change, it has to begin from us. It has to. We do go on all the levels, try to reach them and then tell them that this was not our own Tamil Nadu, our own India. It was very accommodative. For example, we used to go, like for all the anything Ramzan, we used to ring up to all our friends and where's the biryani. It's good without saying. And I worked in a college, Queen Mary's College, lot of Christmas cake cuttings, and when comes Pongal, we do bring Pongal. That's how we all grew up. But it's a sad thing that your child is now getting aware of all these divisions, especially communal divisions, and all these slow, poisoning in their minds. We have to really, tell them or educate them, because we can't just go on propagate these kinds of things in the public meetings. It's a larger gathering. So slowly, maybe I can put in a word to bring out these things in the school syllabi as well. And regarding this Pumpugar, I will just bring the matter, inform it to the concerned officials, and make sure that all the other personalities are also accommodated, because we always revere them. Bharatiya's the centenary has been recently commemorated by our chief minister, and we never take any censorship in all these things. These are things which might not have been brought to their notice. Now you have brought it out to my notice. I'll just see to that it's been properly accommodated. But I think you have to address it in the home level itself. And let's just see whether there's sort of any contents to be introduced in the school syllabi.
But before I go to the next question, I just want to add that I'm a mother of a young son, 11 years old. It is important to speak about caste, especially if you are from if you're from an oppressor caste, an upper caste, because one has to realize what their privilege in life is. So that way, yes, children have to be introduced to these realities of life. Yes, next question. I think one or two more, and then I will.
Good evening.
Yes.
I must thank Dhanya for a wonderful gathering of such kind of activity. Intellectual activity will only start from South Madras, from Madam's constituency. I am Dr. Sendil Kumar. I am an endocrine surgeon. I am an endocrine surgeon from Madras Medical College and Apollo Hospitals. See, for us, there is no gender, or we have got many genders. Anyways, so now coming back to the discussion, we have to categorize ourselves not as women empowerment, but gender bias, gender neutrality, then gender empowerment. So bringing that to the point, now are we getting the right women? Which means, is digitalization shifting? Is it a paradigm shift? Is that the focus?
But okay, so before asking him to answer, we never ask, is the right man who's coming? I think these questions are only reserved for women. Is it the right woman? Just get women, right or wrong first, I think. But if you want to answer the question, which I'm just trying to decipher. Yeah. No, he's saying that is the focus should not be on women empowerment only, but it is on gender itself, on gender equality.
Right. We all perfectly see we can't just do away completely with men and then carry on with our lives. So we don't believe in that also either. So it should be a balanced one. I do agree with that. When it comes to digital media, I think the first, women are the worst affected in that we have to brace so many assaults and so many insults, especially in the digital media. For example, long ago, I think 3 months ago, I read a report about an entry of a woman into the virtual game and then an avatar. As soon as I'd forgotten the name of that woman, as soon as she entered in the avatar game, she was raped. Wasn't it reported? Yes.
So there are a lot of rape games.
Yeah, something. As soon as she went inside that avatar game, that was much in the news. So digital platform, we are the, in the IT committee, it was discussed also. We face the worst things. And if some case reports are being done regarding the rape case, it is a law that the name of the particular victim or the photo should not be published there. Not even the FIR, it should not be registered. But immediately you can see, like the photographs of the particular victim, the name, everything will be there. So digital platforms, we have to put more emphasis on women. The rest, I agree, it should be gender balanced or whatever it is. But whoever is affected more in which platform is a question need to be addressed. And so there we have to give more importance to women, I believe.
I hope your question is answered. We'll go. No, we have only time for one. Yes, please. Yes.
A very good evening, and thank you very much for this program today. I always wanted to ask this question. Like you said, any queries or anything, you can always voice out your opinion. But being a democratic country, does democracy still exist? Once we raise our voice, then you are anti-nationalist. So how do we go about it?
No, the anti-national is a very old term now. There are so many new ones.
I'm just trying to
you just have to. I didn't get your name, dear. What is your name?
I'm
Rachna?
Rahila.
Rahila. Yes. Very nice name. Rahil is the sun, no? So doesn't Rahil mean the sun? No? Okay. No, Rahila. I said, it doesn't Rahil mean the sun? Yeah, so okay. That's okay. Not that off. All right. So no, Rahila, that's a good question. It's something that we face all the time, that that you're anti-national. I think what's happened is dissent is a very essential part of democracy. There can be no democracy without dissent. And when you realize democracy is endangered is when dissent is termed anti-national or is termed seditious or is termed, anything else but natural, normal dissent. That's when you know that we are heading towards uni-party, uni-thought rule. And as long as we are aware of it and you're willing to bear the cross of being labeled anti-national, I think we're okay. I think more and more people have to be like, I'm proud to be anti-national. I think we should all wear t-shirts saying I'm proud to be anti-national. I'm proud to be seditious. I'm proud to be a traitor, because if speaking something about my country and the lack of democracy is going to label me a traitor, then I will happily wear that shirt. So this fear of being labeled is very... and I feel for you, Rahila. Rahila, for that, I feel ashamed every day. Let me tell you this. I represented a constituency which is very high percentage of Muslims. And I feel that every day there are times where I go back and I feel I want to apologize individually to everyone that we are living in a country that me as a majority feel that pain every day. I honestly do. And I hear you. And it's like a Jewish doctor cracking Jewish jokes and it's okay. And anybody else would do it and they'd be anti-Semitic. And I have freedom today. If I were to wear that, it'll be, oh, Mahua Moitra school, she's wearing an anti-national. And if you wore it, you'd be like, go back to Pakistan, go back to Iran, go back here, go back there. So I feel your pain. I feel your pain, and I am ashamed today of being part of a policy that is part of a polity that is endorsing that every day. So, what can I say?
You must have seen that young student in Karnataka school, like when she was being garrowed for... wearing a hijab. You must have seen her in the TV, like, just see her. She was there. We were all with her. We are all with her. We are all with you. Always.
But the fight is definitely tougher for
yes.
Muskan.
But it's very easy for us to say it. It's much harder for them to live it. I totally get it.
No, for Muskan, when she went abroad, they said she's joined ISIS. I mean, since I'm in Bangalore and I keep watching TV, the mainstream channels there play the visuals of these girls who went for the hijab to the court and keep saying they're influenced by ISIS, and they put these terrorist visuals. These are mainstream Kannada channels every single day. So what is the visual that you are giving? I mean, and they live in fear, right? They can't even live in their own houses. They have to keep shifting. So the fear is more real. There is absolutely no doubt that we are a stage of privileged people who can say certain things and get away with it, but you cannot. That is our sad reality, and there is absolutely no, looking away from that. Yes, one last question. Yes.
Good evening, ma'am. My question is, in Tamil Nadu, women's literate or illiterate, அவங்களுக்கு வந்து basic politics knowledge இருக்கு. What is the condition in North? If not, why?
She is saying that in Tamil Nadu, whether people are educated or not educated, women, they have basic knowledge of politics. I come from Kerala, where everybody just like lives on politics. But she's asking what happens in North India. Are women aware of
Given I
politics?
come from Bengal, where everybody's like living, breathing politics, I don't know. I mean, I'll let you answer that. I have no clue of what happens in North India. It's a big mystery to me.
We are in the wrong crowd for that question. Wrong.
We are not equipped to answer that question.
Wrong panel.
We'll get Madam Irani next time. You must call Madam Irani next
She
time.
can maximum speak about North Chennai. That's it. Not North India.
North India, that's what, like probably you must be wondering why BJP is having all winning seats out there. Aren't there any? That must be behind the only reason for her doubt. Yeah, yes. I wish all of them were more aware like us, Kerala, Bengal, and Tamil Nadu. Let's just see. Yeah.
I know. So she has been raising her hand forever. I will go there and that's it. I will finish. Yes.
Check. Thank you so much.
Sano, okay.
Yes, Sano here.
Yes.
Also a very concerned citizen.
Sano
We
is
have-
an RJ.
Yeah. So what are you going to do? We have PhD, double PhD in WhatsApp University. What are you all going to do to deal with that? And second, Mahua, I'm a huge fan of your handbags and your fashion sense. How are you dealing with all the trolls? I love your fashion sense. You too, ma'am.
You know, I don't. My simple answer is I don't. I don't let it take over a large part of my life. And I think you just have to be true to yourself and do what you have to do. I've always had to struggle with this, even though when I came into politics, Bengal, thankfully, it was a very welcoming state in that way. But, even till today, people will be like, they just look at me. They don't realize I've been an MLA and an MP from a very tough constituency in the middle of nowhere. I've done organization politics for a long time before being elected, and they'll say, oh, you're a mem sab, what do you know? You're a PLU, you're an elitist, you're privileged. So it's just water off a duck's back. When you ask me, how do you deal with it? I don't care. Like she said, it's your problem, not mine. Like someone said that day, oh, she's getting out of some car. I said, car's not even mine. It belongs to Jay Galla. He's the highest tax-paying parliamentarian. I'm happy I ride in it. It's not my car. If someone's going to offer me a lift in a nice car, I'm not going to say no. Would you? I don't care. Right? So I think you just be blasé about it, and they don't know how to deal with it. The average North Indian patriarchal misogynist male does not know how to deal with it. So you just be yourself and they shut up.
I think that applies to most Indians. I mean, misogynistic, patriarchal males, not just North. Yeah. So thank you very much to everyone who came here on a Monday. Of course, nice way to bunk schools, colleges, offices, etc. But thank you very much. Thank you to Naturals for organizing this, and to Ram, my colleague, Shabir, Bharti, Nitya, everyone, Jasim, Bhuvan, a lot of my colleagues have been working, Supriya from Glassbox. Thank you, everyone. I'm not taking all names. There is a different vote of thanks, but it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to both of you. Like I said, you may see me in politics in 2 or 3 years' time. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. This is just something I keep telling myself. So I keep telling myself that should perhaps be something that I should look at very seriously. But for that, this has been a stepping stone of a conversation, and I hope, I'm pretty sure that you will face a lot of questions as you walk out from here, because I saw a lot of hands go up. Thank you very much both for joining us.
Thank you. I just want to thank Sarah Kirlow. The
Yes.
Australian Council has come, like she is the one who never misses. I really appreciate her, and I'm in awe of her and all the meetings, like she never sits on the pedestal like a diplomat. Always she's there. So my personal thanks to her.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dhanya. I think you did a brilliant job.
Yeah.
3 cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.